Hi, Chef Allison here from The Last Bite Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about something a little different. Not cooking through a recipe, but instead a toolbox for you. The purpose of these videos is to help you become a better cook. For years I was a home cook before I was a chef, so I understand that struggle and that being in that place of wanting to cook delicious food, not quite having all the techniques under your belt. And so today's video is about setting up a seasoning kit for your house. Now, this is the one that I keep next to my stove for my normal cooking. For my house cooking, I should say. I have a separate chef one that I keep for my business that has twice as many ingredients. We're not going to go through that one today, but instead I'm going to talk through what is in this kit and why I choose what I want to have right at my fingertips when I'm cooking and seasoning a dish. And so here we go. Really obviously, salt, right? Salt is something, and I keep this open. It's called a salt pig with kosher salt in it, so I can just reach in and grab. It's a great place to start, right? And then I also have a fine sea salt. So this is something I might shake on at a table, or one of the kids would shake on more at the serving time, at the eating time. The kosher salt is more for cooking. And the reason why I choose kosher is because it's a little less salty. That sounds kind of weird, but because of the shape of the crystals, you can grab it easier. You can estimate how much it is when you're doing active cooking. And so I like to have this, just the Morton's, but the kosher. And then this is a pink Himalayan salt. Can't really taste the minerals in it, but I just like that version rather than a regular shake. So I have the salt part. Next comes the fat. And so I have just a regular little carafe of olive oil, and this is just a standard olive oil. It might be extra virgin, but it's not the fanciest extra virgin because when you cook with the extra virgin olive oil, you lose some of those really high notes that exist. For example, so I keep this sort of an olive oil that is an extra virgin, cold pressed, more for seasoning. So I don't apply heat to this sort of olive oil. But this one, I buy a big half gallon of it at GFS or any grocery store at Kroger, and I fill this up. It's more cost efficient that way. So I have both of those. And then I also have a spray bottle, and I love this company, EVO, because you could put any oil in here. I have olive oil in here right now. Sometimes I put avocado oil in it, whatever I have a lot of. I like this because you might be familiar with the product that is Pam. That I would use only if I'm spraying a muffin tin or something like that, just almost for a tool. This I would use when I'm spraying a pan to saute an egg or fry an egg, I should say, or something like that, where I just want a little bit of oil. And the reason why I like this is because there's no added propellants or chemicals in it. It's just the oil that I put in. So whatever oil is in here, I know is there, and that's the only ingredient. You could buy multiple of them and have different oils in them if you'd care to. So then I'll transition to this little corner over here. I cook a lot of food that have Asian influences, and so in my kit I do have a toasted sesame oil that is nutty and delicious. Also just a little, sometimes this loses some intensity when you cook it, so I just use a little bit of this, maybe add it to some of this more neutral olive oil, but then also use it as a finishing oil. And then also, back to the salt category, I keep a little bit of this tamari, this gluten-free soy sauce as well. So salt, fat, and then I have acid. And when I was a home cook only and I hadn't done a lot of training, I knew the times when to use vinegar. But now I use acid as my most powerful seasoning element, because these are the obvious, the fat that you put in the pan, either for greasing or for flavor, and the salt. Everyone knows about using salt, but acid actually is it's underappreciated as a seasoning element. And you should try it one day if you're cooking soup or something. taste it and you think it's okay, we'll add just a half a teaspoon of white vinegar. And in this one I have actually a tarragon white wine vinegar, and it will totally make you aware of different flavor profiles as you're tasting. So in this kit, in my everyday kit, I have, like I said, the tarragon white wine vinegar. I have an aged red wine vinegar. This is a sharper vinegar, so when I want more of a punch, I go for this. And then I also have a balsamic vinegar. So I could do a whole one of these quick bites on balsamic. I could do a whole 2-hour class on balsamic. This is a variety that is aged. It is legitimate balsamic, so it's not there's some kind of fake versions of balsamic, but it's not the most intense, $200 for an ounce version. So we're not talking about that. We want something that is a nice flavor, that has depth, that has more sweetness, and that's what I would go for this version as well. And then just like I have the spray bottle of oil, I have a spray bottle of vinegar. I like this because a lot of times when I buy greens that are fresh farm greens, they don't want to be treated with a heavy gloppy vinaigrette. They just want a spritz of vinegar, a spritz of oil, so you can still taste the green freshness in the salad itself, and these just accent the seasoning. The last few things I have on here are honey. In this case, I have a White Lotus, a local honey. So I have a little sweetness here. I like to add this for any other floral elements too, but definitely a natural sweet hit. So sometimes I might just want to add a little bit of sweetness at the end, and I would use that. Then the dry seasonings that I have on my kit, you could go crazy with it, and I have a whole spice shelf in there, dozens of them. But for everyday things, I stick to this little trio, which is black pepper that I have ground already. So if I just want a little hit, I use my grinder, but I pre-grind a bunch because it makes a big difference to buy the whole peppercorns and grind them yourself. Buy a little $10 spice grinder. Man, it changes how you taste pepper. Again, hey, I'm a flavor nerd, so it's a big deal for me. I can really taste a difference, but trust me, you will too if you just taste those. If you buy it already ground, a lot of the intensity is already gone, so try this one. And then I have a little bit of sumac because it's a very acidic, bright spice, and I like to add that at the end. Sour in a good way. And then Aleppo pepper. I have some classic red chili flakes down here too. Pizza shaker, the old-fashioned pizzeria ones, but I really love this Aleppo pepper. It's a variety that, man, it's hard to compare it to anything. So I like to keep these because I use those all the time, that trio as the little finishing seasonings at the top, or in building some deeper flavors and spice as well. I have a little hot sauce here too. Any variety that is your favorite, you can add in here. So, this is basically it. You can swap out different vinegars, you could swap out different oils, but the point is, if you have a tray, if you have a seasoning tray right next to your stove, you have it all ready to go, and you don't have to go shuffling in drawers, and you're just more apt to use these things to increase your flavors. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them for you. Send me an email at allison@lastbitechef.com, and we can have a conversation about what your favorites are. And if you have any questions, again, let me know. Thanks.